The one thing we know for certain about the capital of India is that it is colourful and huge. 15 million people are said to live in and around its impressive buildings. But the actual figure could be 20 or even 25 million. No one knows for sure. More and more people are migrating to this metropolis in India's northeast. In fact, just as they have done for centuries. The Muslim Mughals ruled from here. So did the British during the colonial era. Today, the city's destiny is determined by Indians who are as diverse as the stories they write. Rana Dasgupta writes stories about modern-day Delhi. Entitled Capital, his latest book is not only about the city itself, but also about the importance of money in Delhi. Rana Dasgupta was born in Britain as the son of Indian parents. He moved to the city of his forefathers several years ago, even though he takes a distinctly critical view of Delhi.
The spirit of the city is very harsh and aggressive. It's very paranoid and concerned with threats and security. And I think the warmth of the city is directed inwards. So people are very good hosts, for instance. It's a delightful place to be hosted, the city, because people, once they invite you into their home, they will give you everything.
Rana believes that the apparent harshness of the city comes from the fact that over the last few centuries it has been built by immigrants, people who established a new life for themselves here, regardless of the consequences.
People say that Delhi is a very ancient city because there have been cities here for maybe 1,500 years. But it's actually not an ancient city because every time new sets of people come to the city, they abandon everything that's happened until that point and they build another city just next door. And then they ransack the old city for stones and everything and build again. The British did that, the Mughals did that, everyone's done that. And even now with Gurgaon, which is the new shining tower city of corporations.
And indeed, in Delhi you can take a journey back in time every day. Bustling Old Delhi lies in the north of the city. Then there is New Delhi with its many splendid buildings and government offices. Located in the far south are the suburbs of Noida and Gurgaon, which are also home to millions of people and impress the visitor with their high-tech architecture. This is the one side of Delhi, the creative, glamorous, beautiful side. In Delhi, when work is over for the day and the temperature has dropped below 40 degrees, people head for the city's parks and lakes. This man-made lake in the trendy neighbourhood of Hauts Khas is particularly popular. The water is too dirty for swimming in, but the lake is perfect for strolling around. And after a stroll, it's away from the lakeshore and into the fray. In Hamburg, they head for the Schanze, and in Munich, they head for Schwabing. Here in Delhi, party-goers make for Hauts Khas village. With its countless restaurants and music clubs, this is the epicenter of the capital's nightlife. But on this particular evening, it is not the rotating turntables that are the focus of attention, but a group of poets who are taking part in the very first Delhi Youth Poetry Slam. A poetry slam is a kind of competition for poets. Each presentation lasts a few minutes and is always extremely personal. The upper age limit for participants is 25.
And with gratitude for the belief that was instilled. Till that day, my friend, don't give up. For this fight for your dream is true. Each time you find yourself even with a hiccup, Remember, Darwin, we believe in you and the dream. So,
we want to bring young people to the movement. So we want to talk about personal and the political. We want to bring young people to bring out their voices and perform in front of small audiences, build a community which speaks in a chaotic city like Delhi.
I wish when Cupid struck its arrow and love came knocking.
The poem this woman wrote deals with the risk of falling in love. She would like Cupid's arrows to carry a warning, but since they don't, falling in love remains dangerous.
Forever, but mind you, there are other ways too. You don't always have to trade hard for it. However, now that I'm already here, please deal with caution.
you need to shut the world.
Here, the poem is presented as a song with guitar accompaniment. Painful lines about love and life. What else? But not all the poets focus on intimate and everyday issues.
So we talk about gay rights, feminism. Gender plays a really big role in slam poetry. So you'll see we have performers who talk about how it is to be a woman in India, how it is to be a northeastern Indian in a city which is discriminatory.
This poet is not even Indian. She comes from Tibet, doesn't really feel at home anywhere, and now works through her frustration with poetry.
They say I'm a Shija girl, that I don't have the same spirit of the unadulterated Tibetan blood. India has seeped into my soul. The elders call them Sanjara, but quietly they get offended. The youth are a little more creative in choosing words for those not born in India. But on the city streets, I'm just another chinky.
The audience applaud enthusiastically every time. Afterwards, they head off to other clubs where the evening isn't yet over. For example, to one where presentations also take place, albeit of a totally different kind. Welcome to the Delhi Death Fest. Death metal is a particularly violent form of hard rock. The bass is extra heavy, the voices extra deep, and the lyrics extra gloomy. But in no way could the mood be described as apocalyptic.
Abroad, it's more like a lifestyle. You will have older people, like you'll have people in their 60s, 50s also attending metal shows. Whereas in India, once they start working, once they have real jobs and they get married and all, they kind of quit metal. So metal is not there as a lifestyle.
A death party as a fun event. That is how Ulf also sees things. He was born in Hamburg, but India has been his home for a long time now. As a side job, he sells records and fan articles.
I came here when I was 17. What I can tell you about India is that the underground lives. Metal is always for the other side. India, too, has its problems, and many of the kids and even over 50s also need metal music to distance themselves from the mainstream.
Inside, the blast continues, but only until midnight. Otherwise, the neighbors will complain. This is just the right place for those who like things quieter and more classical. A dance performance in a theatre in Delhi. Many of the audience are here for a particular reason. They're friends or relatives of the evening's dancer. This will be her first major appearance after a long period of training. Naturally, her coach is also present.
Classical arts were never for the public. It was always for the elite and for connoisseurs who were educated like opera and ballet. All these modern music, contemporary dance, salsa, whatever, tango and all that, they'll come and go. But classical arts, traditional arts never die. They're like a golden piece. A gold never goes out of fashion, nor does it lose its sheen.
Known as Kuchipudi, this form of dance comes from southern India. But the story the dancer tells with her body is universal. It is about the conflict between good and evil and the hope for worldwide peace, salvation through beauty. This place is a mix of classical culture and modern consumerism. The Kingdom of Dreams in the suburb of Gurgaon is an entertainment centre with an artificial sky and beneath it a boulevard on which you can visit every region in India in rapid succession in one day. Anyone who is tired of walking can sit down and enjoy a touch of Bollywood. The dance interlude, however, is merely an appetizer for the main attraction, the dream that many Indians, and even non-Indians, love to nourish most of all, the dream of Bollywood. Numbering more than 100, the dream characters are, of course, made of flesh and blood. Some of them have played in Zangura more than 1,000 times. Zangura is the story of a prince who has to choose between two women, one a princess, the other a rebel.
Initially, I was not an actor, I was a cricketer. So when I joined this field, acting, I start with mimicry and all. I always, Bollywood films always inspired me. The way they made their films and all. Emotions, highly drama. So day by day, I get motivated from that films.
I love theatre actually. In front of a camera, I feel as if I'm blocked. But I love stage. I love being on stage. I love the energy on stage. I love the fact that we only get one take. Everything is live. Even if you make a mistake, you have to live with it. So that's very challenging, and I just love stage. I love reaching out to the audience more.
The best thing is you don't have to understand Hindi to understand this show, because it is very, very self-explanatory. You know exactly what's happening. It's simplistic in the storyline, but just wow in the way it's presented. So you don't even need to have your headphones on, or you don't need subtitles or any kind of a translator. You will just enjoy it because you will get to see Bollywood live. So yeah, come.
In true Bollywood style, the show lasts for nearly 3 hours. The cast sing and dance, and there's a happy ending to celebrate. Torn between two women, the prince gets what he wants. First the love of the rebel, and then the hand of the princess in marriage. The audience is happy. After all, the environment in and around Delhi is so crass that dreams, at least, should be sweet and smooth. From the kingdom of dreams to ultra-harsh and often unjust reality, to one of Delhi's many slums, home to those who cannot afford the steadily rising cost of rented accommodation. Most of them came to Delhi from far-off places at a time when cheap labour was in great demand. Since then, many have become unemployed.
Some of my neighbours have been living here for 20 years. There's no electricity, no running water, and no toilets. So we live without any goal and without any form of comfort.
Like many here, Kranti hoped that she and her husband and their children would be able to move into a proper house, but she has since abandoned that dream.
How are we supposed to move into a bigger house if we have no income? My husband can't find work anywhere. We have no future.
The husband of Roshni, her neighbour, is also out of work. The whole family live from what she earns as a cleaner, about €2 a day.
I only hope that my children will be able to escape from poverty. We've often thought about how we could get away. But since we don't have any relatives who could take us in, we have to stay here.
Yet luxury is close by. Located just around the corner, in fact, is Delhi's most luxurious shopping temple. Here, running water is literally fired into the air. And this again is the other side of the social coin, a slum where water is scarce, despite the vast amount of rain that falls in the monsoon season. Since the rainwater mixes with the filth here, it's full of germs and not safe to drink. You won't find any water pipes here, only water stations where every now and then a truck with a water tank will stop. At the moment, though, there are none in sight.
Every day we have to fight for the bit of water we can get. 2 or 3 canisters per family. That's nothing. And there are no wells here. We complain and complain, but nothing happens.
While they are waiting here, a truck arrives at another water station. People immediately rush up and get as much water as they can, because no one knows when the next delivery will be.
We get water here every 1 or 2 weeks. That is nowhere near often enough. So we have to fetch it from other places. And that's tough, especially for the women.
One resident told us that criminal gangs profit from the water shortage.
Some gang members have taken control of a public water tank near here. They sell the water illegally to people who don't even live here.
An hour later, the other end of the slum is a hive of activity. At long last, a truck with a full water tank has arrived. Not only in Delhi, for hundreds of millions of people throughout India, living from canister to mouth, so to speak, is the rule, because many settlements don't even exist officially. They mushroom without any functioning administration. Experts are calling on the government to take action.
So what the government needs to look at is to strengthen its distribution system, if not through networks, if not through pipeline networks, it can make bulk storage points and from there on allow people to make their own user groups.
As yet, however, there is no solution in sight, and the time-consuming procurement of water remains the fate of the poor. How can they or their children ever escape from grinding poverty when many hours every day are wasted in fetching it?
The water situation is appalling. It takes forever for water to arrive, and when it does, there's chaos. The children have to help so they can't attend school. Fights break out, and the police have to intervene. It's madness.
The women then carry their canisters home. The family's water requirements are covered for today. Tomorrow they'll have to ask around again to find out where water is available free of charge. Here there is water in abundance, but it is unpalatable. Flowing through Delhi is the Yamuna, the second biggest tributary of the Ganges, which for many Indians is a sacred river. The Yamuna is probably the most polluted river in the world. Hundreds of millions of litres of waste are dumped into it every day. The farmers who grow their fruit and vegetables along the banks of the river are very worried.
The river is completely polluted. The main culprits are the factories who just discharge their waste in it. You can't farm with water that's contaminated. It's a health risk. It's said that we use the filthy water, but that's not true. We irrigate our fields with well water, which we filter first. We even drink the water, and we are healthy.
There are far too few water treatment plants. The only hope is that at least the groundwater isn't toxic and can be used for preparing meals.
If I cook with water from the river, my children become ill. So we avoid the river and only use water from the well.
But one environmental expert believes that farmers who grow their vegetables here are wrong in thinking themselves safe.
So even if you take groundwater, there'll be some filtration, but it's not a complete prevention. And you will find same levels of toxicity.
And that also has dangerous consequences for those who consume the vegetables.
Since this is in the body of the vegetable, you cannot wash it off. There's almost nothing you can do about it. Cadmium affects the kidneys, and similarly other chemicals can be endocrine disruptors. They have long-term intergenerational impacts. They also can cause cancer.
People who shop at the many markets have little idea of the risks. They don't even know where the produce comes from. They think it's enough to just clean it by hand, but that's wrong.
I wash vegetables thoroughly before I cook them. I know they contain a lot of pollutants that can make you ill, so I clean them carefully.
The Indian government promised years ago to clean up the Ganges and its tributaries. But so far little has been done, even though many Indians revere the Ganges as a goddess. As yet, it seems, too few people are bothered by the fact that this divine river is more like a sewer. But there is also another way of dealing with refuse, a creative one, in fact. Here, art is produced from scrap. Rusty containers are adorned with graffiti. Even artists from Europe participate. They find that what is decrepit and chaotic fuels their creativity.
We got to see a part of India that not many people get to see. So we experienced something very raw, very ghetto. I've never seen so much diversity in my entire life. I've never experienced a country where there's 27 different official languages and thousands of gods.
This mural is dedicated not to a deity, but to a national idol. Of all places, Mahatma Gandhi, the peace activist, adorns the facade of the police headquarters. His portrait was painted many years ago by a German. It marked the birth of Delhi's street art movement.
It also gives some kind of a hope to the people and to this community, which is generally very neglected and things like that, yeah.
Like these children who can't get enough of seeing top-class international art in their neighborhood. Simply amazing. There's art everywhere, he says. Artists come here from all over the world. It's great. And in all likelihood, they will continue to come, because in Delhi there are still countless containers that can be decorated, and no end of shoddy facades either. If there are protests about environmental pollution and injustice anywhere in Delhi, then this is the most likely place. Yet at first glance, everything seems so laid back and unpolitical. An oasis at the heart of a congested metropolis of over 15 million people. This is the JNU, an elite university. Many of its 8,000 students, as well as a large number of its professors, come from the lower social classes, so it's no surprise that ideologically the JNU leans to the left. Fighting slogans and revolutionary icons adorn the walls. At the moment, the students are turning against India's government and its Hindu nationalist policies.
We are opposed to the government's economic policies. We are opposed to the government's politics. The way it is pursuing a politics of hatred, a politics of communalism and caste injustice. That is something we are opposed to, and we've repeatedly raised our voice.
Things were getting really bad then. I mean, there were lots of conversations to be had with parents also who were scared and who didn't want us to take strong positions because everyone was targeting students one by one, from the administration to the police, everybody.
Even universities outside India also came in our solidarity. So we do believe that it's a very strong message, it's a strong movement which is including a lot of youth, a lot of young people, a lot of like-minded people together.
The movement is headed by the man who sparked off the protests. Kanhaiya Kumar is the leader of the All India Student Federation. After attending a rally against the execution of a Kashmiri separatist, he was accused of sedition and arrested. Kumar was released on bail and now rails against the government.
This fight is for social justice at the university and elsewhere. It is about saving democracy in our country.
Azadi, Azadi, freedom, freedom. The students are at least able to voice their protest without interference. The security forces are nowhere to be seen. Protests are somehow a part of Delhi life. After all, there are many grievances that need addressing, not least in the important public sector of healthcare. Once again, Delhi is under a blanket of smog. The problem is particularly bad at the cold time of year. People cough and complain of headache and say their eyes are burning.
Everybody is falling ill because of the ambient air quality which has decreased. I mean, which has decreased to such a level that people out here are not able to breathe.
For 4 or 5 days now, things have been unbearable. This filth is dangerous and toxic.
At times, the fine particle levels exceed 1,000. That's 40 times higher than the threshold values set by the World Health Organization. The tiny particles get into the bloodstream and the lungs, increasing the risk of cancer and stroke. The main culprits are diesel vehicles and the countless fires in the streets. And on major public holidays like Diwali, the Festival of Lights, fireworks add to the problem. Experts are calling for a sustainable policy to combat smog.
There should be zero tolerance for waste burning and dust and the pollution that happens from construction activity. But at the same time, we need to scale up public transport system so that the growing dependence on personal vehicles can be reduced.
But the situation will not improve quickly. Smog-related illnesses will become more common. Anyone who falls ill in Delhi, or indeed anywhere else in India, and wants the best possible treatment but can't actually afford it, likes to come here. With a name almost as long as the patient's waiting list, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences Delhi is known for short as AIIMS. Treatment here is free, so even those who cannot afford health insurance, and that applies to most people in India, can come here and be seen by the best doctors. One of them is trauma specialist Dr. Amit Gupta, who is also the hospital's spokesperson.
AIIMS is an institution everybody wants to come. Even for trivial problems, they would like to come and get treated at AIIMS. Primarily because the quality of care, the general public has faith in it. So in the sense, you can say we are victims of our own, sort of excellence. But you're right, we are struggling with the patient load and the numbers. We would want that the other hospitals also take up the load of AIIMS, and therefore the Government of India is deciding to make more such AIIMS-like institutions in India.
Outside his consulting rooms, there are crowd scenes you'd normally associate with a sports event. But where these people are concerned, far more is involved. Several patients have just arrived and are waiting for their first diagnostic appointment. Others have already been diagnosed and have come back to begin their treatment. The waiting period can be up to 2 years. Some of the people here are accompanying married couples, parents and children who are ill. While treatment is being given, they live on the site. Some of them wait out in the open.
I have come with my daughter from the east, from Bihar. My daughter has major problems with her bladder, but I couldn't afford to have her treated, so we came here to get the finest treatment.
I have a kidney problem. I came here a month ago, but I didn't want to wait to have all the many tests. So I returned to my village, but my situation deteriorated. That is why I have come back. However, I haven't been able to get a bed, so I'll just have to see how I get on.
I live 500 kilometers away. I have problems with my kidneys and my liver. I have been to lots of hospitals already, and because none of them could help me, I was sent here. I've been having tests for a month now. I'm waiting for a diagnosis.
My husband has been having treatment for the last 6 years. He has cancer of the larynx. The treatment here really helps him. It's not easy to get an appointment, except in an emergency. But then things move quickly. Still, I'm satisfied.
In contrast to the basic accommodation, the system here is highly modern. Patients can register at computer stations. They receive login data and are then allocated the next available appointment. Most of the patients are extremely grateful, but not all of them. This girl has tuberculosis. Her father is furious.
We wait and wait, but nothing happens. First, she was supposed to have a blood test, then a hearing test. Suddenly, we were also expected to pay, not for the treatment, but for the laboratory costs. 500 rupees, about 14 euros. But I don't have that kind of money.
In Delhi, things look totally different for people who don't have any financial worries. As a rule, it is not AIMS they turn to, but one of the many private hospitals. Having come out of her anesthetic, Rosie feels like a new person. Her mother is with her. Only a short while ago, Rosie was still called Michael and looked like this. Now she has the body she has wanted ever since childhood.
To be honest with you, I've always been a female. And from birth to the age of 10, everybody thought I was a girl. But we're FaceTiming about 3-4 times a day.
In England, where she lives, the operation would have cost around 50,000 euros. Here she will pay only a tenth of that to this specialist. Dr. Kaushik is a cosmetic surgeon who specializes in sex change operations. Here he's talking to another patient.
The procedures are very, very affordable as compared to the Western countries and even in Thailand. And this is specifically, every patient always looks for the quality also, services also, and the safety also. Both the things, if we combine the highest possible quality and affordability, India, I think this is becoming #1 now.
Once a bourgeois-looking grandfather, Dale from the United States has become transformed, almost unrecognizably, into the flamboyant Betty.
They have to spend several years undergoing hormone therapy, psychological evaluation, and all that before you can even try to get surgery. Because you have to have a letter from one psychiatrist and one psychologist to be able to submit to the clinic. I feel wonderful. I feel great.
There is no outward indication that this small private clinic is where people can change their sex. In India, too, that is something that would meet with disapproval. Officially, transsexuals are treated with tolerance. They're acknowledged as a third sex. But this human rights activist, herself a transsexual, says there is a lot of discrimination.
We people are such hypocrite. We see,
If some outsider is doing something, whether it is right, wrong, or whatever according to our perception, is okay, we give it damn care. But our family should not do anything because we have our own prejudice.
Rosie, who will soon be flying back to England, doesn't have that problem. She has her mother's full support. I love you, Mum, she says time and again. Thanks for supporting me on my journey, even when it leads to India. Our next story takes us out of Delhi to Bodh Gaya in eastern India. It was here 2,500 years ago that the Buddha is said to have found enlightenment. Even today, thousands come here in search of inspiration and health for body and soul. But anyone who's seriously ill, and perhaps poor as well, is in a really poor position. Outdated and overcrowded, the local hospital is typical of those in the region as a whole. For every 10,000 patients, there is roughly one hospital bed and one doctor with often dubious qualifications. That, at least, is the view of farmer Jadu Yadav. He lives in a village 20 kilometers away. For months now, he has suffered from stomach pains and attacks of fever. He is now getting ready to see a doctor. The man is an expert, but he lives far away in the capital, Delhi. Jadu and his mother are excited.
It's great to know I'll be talking to a real specialist. I'm certain he'll prescribe something that will help me.
Neetu, a neighbour of his, will also be going along for a consultation. She has chronic pain in her wrists. Jadu has told Neetu that the consultation will only cost €1.50, something even poor people from the countryside can afford.
There is no doctor at all in our village, and those in the next village are no good.
However, that is where a telemedicine centre was opened not so long ago. Jadu and Neetu are walking the 5 kilometres to get there, even though every step is painful for him. 1,000 kilometres to the west, numerous high-tech firms have settled on the outskirts of Delhi. Dr. Avnish Gautam works at a health centre that offers online consultation for poor regions. Its services are subsidised by the state. Avnish and his colleagues are aware of the limitations of technology and that often they can only scratch the surface with their long-distance diagnoses.
Honestly speaking, this is a bit tricky at times, and because when the patient is in front of you, you can just examine whatever you want, whatever you have your doubts. But when he's not in front of you, when you can just see him, not he's not sitting there. So it's a bit difficult at times.
Everything is ready for the virtual consultation. All that's needed now are the patients themselves. Jadu and Neetu have now arrived in the neighbouring village. They pass by the practice of the local doctor. All they see of him are his feet, but they would rather do without his services anyway. However, the entrance to the telemedicine centre doesn't look too promising either. The Silicon Cyber Cafe, as it's known, offers various digital services, including access to the teledoctor. Its operators are trying to establish a connection to Delhi.
If the doctors don't go to the villages have to go to the doctors. What's best of all, the doctors are available 24/7. All you need is an internet connection.
But despite the help of a technician, it takes half an hour to establish the link, and the consultation takes as long again because sometimes there's no sound and then no picture. Using his mobile phone because the computer microphone isn't working, the doctor asks Jadu if he sometimes feels nauseous. Jadu says yes, he sometimes has to vomit.
This has a very bright future, provided there are some improvements in the connectivities and different internet problems in India. But the future looks pretty bright to me.
Jadu would like to have spoken longer to the doctor, but in the meantime, more and more patients are waiting for him to finish. Now it's Neetu's turn. This time the internet link is perfect. Dr. Avnish prescribes some ointment for her and assures her that she will soon be free of pain.
I think it's a real step forward. In this way, I can talk to a specialist who will recommend the right treatment.
At the pharmacy on the other side of the road, Jadu and Neetu present the prescriptions they have just had printed out. They wait, but they don't get what they want.
I only stock what local doctors prescribe. You can have cough medicine and aspirin. You'll have to go into town to get the medicine on your prescription. Maybe you'll be lucky there.
So they will have to go all the way to Bodh Gaya after all, to the city of the Buddha. For Jadu and Neetu, the road to the beautiful digital world is longer and more complicated than they thought. In Delhi, anyone wanting to share a beer with friends and drink to their health has plenty of places to choose from, like the beer cafe. The owner of this modern pub explained to us what makes beer so popular, especially with young people.
So India is a liquor drinking nation. You know, 2/3 of the entire liquor in the world is consumed in India. The Indian market for beer is 11%. The good news here is that you've got a lot of leeway where the highest growth that's coming in any liquor sector is coming in beer.
This restaurant specializes in German beer, and the beer that is served here complies with Germany's ancient purity decree.
But then German beers are nicer because it's got the essence, and the barley that you grow in Germany is completely different to what we have in India. The water in Germany is probably playing a much better role in producing beers in Germany than what it does in India. It is easily palatable with the German meals that we serve.
That beer is becoming more and more popular in Delhi is somehow fitting, because in its own way, the capital too is something of a brew. For some tastes and souls, it's sometimes a tad bitter. And in its own way, Delhi is definitely intoxicating.